Hello, I'm Dave. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining me. This is going to be a video of me having a go at a new tool, new product for the first time. We've got to get more into that in a second. So a bit of background to this video. It's been about a week now, almost exactly, since some pretty major news, I guess, in the sort of world of design, product design, UI design, that sort of thing. Digital design generally, I guess, which is that Adobe bought out Figma for $20 billion, which is not a small amount of money. This is not going to be a kind of a rant or a moan or a sort of sub-story video at all. But I just want to start by saying that I was really gutted actually when I heard the news, more so than I would have ever expected I would feel. When a product that I use, a tool that I use, gets bought out by a bigger company, I would never have expected to have had quite the real sort of visceral, emotional response, I guess, that I had on the day that I heard, on the day that it happened. To the point where I would genuinely say it ruined my afternoon, which sounds, a bit flippant and a bit of exaggeration, but genuinely. I was really gutted. Spent the afternoon sort of chatting to colleagues about it and sort of potential implications. Spoke to various designer friends of mine, and there's definitely a sort of overriding feeling of concern and disappointment, I guess. Really happy for the guys, the founders. They've clearly created an incredible product, and I'm glad that they've been richly rewarded for that. But I just couldn't get the feeling out of my head that it just felt a bit like a bit of a sellout, really. And as I say, I don't want to go on a rant, so I won't bang on about it. But I genuinely was really gutted. So naturally, with the kind of concerns and the sort of weariness towards what's happened in the past when Adobe has bought out competitor products, my mind started to think about, potentially down the line it might be that I need to find an alternative to Figma, which is a slightly worrying thought because I absolutely love Figma. I literally use it every day. I use it for my day job. I use it in my spare time for freelancing and just for sort of mucking about and exploring, when they release new features. I'm in Figma pretty much every day of the week. The idea of having to switch to another product, another tool, is a bit daunting. Potentially, I will say, I'm really fingers crossed, really hope that it doesn't go as badly as I'm expecting it to. I just had this sort of thought of it's probably worth looking at some other options, and I know that there are other very established tools out there like UXPin or Framer or Axure, XD potentially, Sketch as well. I mean, I originally used Sketch a lot before I switched to Figma, so I'm very familiar with Sketch, but it would really feel like a bit of a backward step, I think, even though it has improved over time. I think it's still such a long way off the level that Figma's at currently. So as I say, I know there's lots of well-established, very successful other tools out there, but one name that cropped up a few times actually on some Reddit posts I was looking at, some YouTube comments, some various posts on social media that I hadn't come across before, is a tool called Penpot, and it is an open source design and prototyping tool, very much in the style of Figma, Sketch, those sort of products, but it's open source, totally free, and still in I guess a bit more of if it's infancy than something like Figma or Framer or Sketch, even XD, but something about it kind of caught my attention, I guess, and I like the idea of in the way that Figma was sort of the independent upstart fighting against the big corporate machine of Adobe, basically. I like the idea that it's open source, free now, free forever kind of vibe. And I thought it'd be interesting to have a go, sort of get involved, fully expecting that, I don't think I'm going to be able to switch to Penpot anytime soon. I think there's some sort of fairly, from what I've read, what I've heard, some fairly kind of crucial functionalities that it doesn't have that the Figma does. So yeah, I don't think I'm anywhere near being able to switch fully to Penpot. But I just thought it'd be quite interesting to have a go, see what the fuss is about, see if it's any good within those constraints. And then I thought, might as well do a video of me having a go. So here we are. I'm going to try and keep this relatively brief. I haven't really got a plan for what I'm doing, but I thought I'd just sort of give you a bit of an overview, show you the Penpot website, and then just dive in and have a go at designing something, just sort of see how easy that is. So let me just jump to my desktop here. Okay, so here we are on the Penpot website. So you can see design freedom for teams. Penpot is the first open source design and prototyping platform meant for cross-domain teams. Non-dependent of operating systems, Penpot is web-based and works with open web standards for all and empowered by the community. So I think, as kind of mission statement or sort of vision blurb goes, I think that's really good. I like the fact that it is cross-domain. It's not dependent on operating systems. It's all web-based. All of these things are big ticks for me. So you can see a bit of a video here of the interface, and straight away I can see that it's very similar to Figma, not identical, which is fine. But yeah, if you've used any of those prototyping and UI design tools that I've already mentioned, then I'm very confident that the transition of skill set is going to be very, very straightforward for this. A bit more information about cross-domain, open standards, multi-platform, open source, and again, some more sort of specifics on how the interface of it works, what you can and can't do. So yeah, that's kind of the summary from Penpot themselves. So let's dive in, and what I've done, I have opened up. I've started a new file once already, just to literally have a look at it. Then I decided that should be much more interesting if my first time properly using it was on this video, in real time. So I've not got any design set up currently. Previously, I've only opened it to have a quick look around and then deleted that initial file. So we're going to first thing we're going to do, create a new file, new design. This interface is quite nice. There's maybe some sort of a couple of bits that could be improved. So when you hover this new file button, it's slightly kind of overlaps, or it certainly is very close to this 0 files text. So that's maybe that could be tweaked a bit, but generally not straightforward. I know what I've got to do. I've got to create a design file and we'll go from there. So let's dive straight in. So this is the sort of the general UI of Penpot itself. So straight away I can see it's really similar to Figma. I've got my various shape tools, text tools, pen tools, that sort of thing down the side rather than across the top in Figma. Excuse me. On this right hand panel we've got 2 tabs, design and prototypes. Again, really like Figma. We can dive into that in a bit. Even the fact that we've got this sort of breadcrumb structure up here showing that I'm in my drafts folder and this is new file 4, which is weird because it's only the second one I've opened, but yeah. So yeah, get already lots of similarities with Figma in particular, and also I think this is quite like XD, actually having the sidebar for the tools here. We can see that there's my login up there. Okay, so we've got layers, pages, and then we've got an assets tab. So that we'll come back to, I guess, later on potentially, although maybe not for this video, since I do want to try and keep this brief. Let's just give a bit more space actually. Let's go full screen with this. There we go. Okay, so that's now feeling more like. I think that's interesting. So it's cropped off a bit at the top, but never mind. This feels more like a native app, because now it doesn't look as in my browser anymore. So board. So here's our board tool. So I guess this is like a frame in Figma. Size presets. Okay, so this feels a little bit more clunky than Figma. Figma, the presets are sort of pre-grouped in the interface, whereas here it's just they are grouped, but it's just a long drop-down list. So it's a little bit more clunky to find what I'm looking for. So let's say web. Let's go for web 1280 by 800. Okay, so that's quite nice. So I've got my ruler up here. Drag on my guides. So I know a couple of things that I know from sort of reading some reviews, watching some other YouTubers talk about Penpot. I know that one feature from Figma that you don't get is auto layout, which I am a massive fan of. So that's a bit of a shame, but I suspect that that's something that no doubt will come to Penpot down the line. But yeah, currently no capability for anything sort of similar to Figma's auto layout functionality. Actually, I'm going to change this. Let's just do a quick mobile login screen. So let's say, I don't know, iPhone 11 Pro. There we go. Okay. So there's our artboard. Okay. Quite like the sort of slightly neon green accent colour to everything. Quite like that. As a side note. Okay, so let's say I'm going to do this like a wireframe, I guess, because I don't have any kind of assets pre-prepared, and I don't have any plan of what I'm going to do, which possibly I should have done. But yeah, I'm just going to keep this like a wireframe fidelity for a login screen. So let's put some text up here. Everything's working pretty intuitively so far. My app, so I'm going to come over here. Guessing this is just pulling in my system fonts. I've got Poppins, like Poppins. Let's say, okay, that's interesting. So we've got some font weight, numerical font weights, but then we've got regular and italic as words. But anyway, let's say medium, put that in the middle, make it a bit bigger. Yeah, okay, so yeah, shortcuts seem very similar. So holding the Option button on my Mac, which I think is the Alt button on Windows, I believe. It's been a while. Yeah, holding the Option button is showing me my spacings. Quite a nice way. It's kind of give me a bit more visual feedback, I guess, on that than you get with Figma. So actually, it's showing me the size of the text as well as the distance to the various bounds of the artboard. So that's quite nice little feature. So let's just start putting in some wireframey components. So we're going to say let's be our text field. That's pretty big. This is interesting. So size and position are the other way around on Figma. So on Figma, you've got your position is the X and Y axis is the top property, and then the size of whatever item you're selecting is below that. So that's just throwing me off a little bit. It's the other way around here, but that's fine. Yeah, let's try something like that. Let's put some guides on actually. Let's say that's interesting. So it's basing that on 0.5 part of my canvas rather than the actual artboard. Maybe if I select the artboard it'll... No, okay, so that's fine, but it's possibly a bit irritating that it's basing this guide on the canvas, so 0 on the x-axis, no, on the y-axis of the canvas is coming up, whereas actually what I'd prefer and what Figma would do is base it on the y-axis of the artboard I'm on. That's fine. In fact, what I'll do, I'll make things a bit simpler for myself. Just put this to 0, 0. So at least to begin with, we can know that this is going to be a little bit easier. So 3, 3, 5. I wonder actually if there is any kind of obviously on Figma you can set up grid overlays and that kind of thing. It doesn't look like that's not grid. There we go. Oh, okay. Oh, nice. Let's say oh, there we go. Okay. Why? Oh, that's a bit weird. It's actually when I click into that, it's actually going off the side of my screen, and I can't change that because I'm in full screen mode. Oh, okay, interesting. That feels like a bit of a bug there. Huh. Anyway, let's say center, gutter 0, margin 40. There we go. Okay, so I can probably do away with these guides. Is that going to snap to that? No, I don't think. It's not native. It's not natively snapping to this grid column that I've set up. That's not super helpful. Oh, excuse me. Things not to do when you're on a YouTube video. Okay, so there's some interesting things going on here. So I can set up a column via the grid control, but the actual content of my artboard doesn't really seem to be able to interact with that. If you just drop in another square, yeah, so it's snapping to the edges of this other item, this other rectangle, but I don't think it's snapping to the actual column, which is a bit of a shame, but that's fine. I can't remember if it does that in Figma or not, to be honest, off the top of my head. Okay, so let's go. Something like this. Yeah, all of this is. It's all looking very much as I'd expect it to. As I say, this is just going to be really quick, just sort of initially. Oh, there's a little guide there, that's weird. Just want to kind of find my way around initially, but I'm not going to spend too long worrying about a nice slick design. Interesting enough, I've already feel like I've found a few things that don't work quite how I'd expect them to. So rounded corners, I'm guessing. All corners, single corners. That's nice. So again, that's something you do get in Figma now, but you didn't used to actually. So I can round my corners and I can give them individual settings if I wanted to. But let's just say 5. I think I am actually. After all that, I'm going to jump back to. I'm going to go back to doing some guides. Just because it's a bit frustrating that that column doesn't actually have any sort of bearing on the snapping of my elements. How do I want this to look? Yeah, something like that. So another thing that I believe is not available currently in Penpot is components, or at least certainly not in the same way, certainly not as powerful as you can do them in. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, sorry, not as powerful as they are in Figma, but I have a feeling they just the concept of setting up components and having variants and that sort of thing I don't think is an option currently. But again, like with the auto layout, I very much would expect that will come in the future. Okay, so I'm not going to win any design awards for this particular piece, but straight away I can see that there's a lot of it is very intuitive, no learning curve at all in terms of transferring across from Figma, but just a few little things like as I say, the fact that size and position are the other way around to Figma, that could get a bit confusing, at least initially. But yeah, on the whole, looks like a lot. Everything I'd expect to see there, more or less, is there. So that's really encouraging. So here's my layers panel. So yeah, again, same sort of setup, very similar setup to all the other tools, but particularly to Figma. So I've got pages up here which can have their own set of artboards on, and then obviously my layers within that, my boards and my layers. So so it does talk about components here, file library components. So let's just see, create, maybe I've been misinformed. Create component, so that is now a component. Component group 1. Can I edit that, rename, button. That's weird. I've renamed it here, but it hasn't recognised it here. Reset overrides. No. Show main component. That's fair enough. Assets. Components button. So just wondering what sort of controls I get over there. Attach instance. Yes, okay, so maybe you do get components, but just I guess in a much more stripped back and basic version of components than you get in Figma. So that's better than I thought. I thought you didn't get any of that at all. And then hopefully room for growth there as Penpot continues to improve and get built on. I'm just wondering what I can actually do with that. I guess it's just easy duplication, I suppose, like components used to be with Sketch. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I think let's just have a quick look at what we can do with the with some prototyping. Let's say okay, so we'll just have this. Let's have a quick go at that's interesting. Let's just quickly chuck up another version of the page here, and we're looking here 256. Interesting. There we go. Okay, so let's say prototype. Drag that to there. That's what I would expect. Okay, on click. So this is something that's a bit could definitely be improved. So when I'm hovering, if I hit this, it doesn't tell me, but I'm fairly certain this is going to delete that prototyping interaction. There you go. But then these little ellipses here, I think is going to give my settings. Yeah. So I guess my first thought is just have this revealed, exposed to the users all the time, and at the very least make it clearer what's happening when you click on this. Give it some sort of tooltip on the hover or something. But anyway, trigger on click, navigate to animation. Okay, so so again, it's called some prototyping. It's a lot more basic. I know that there are other prototyping tools out there that are better than Figma, but Figma does have some really nice prototyping settings and functionalities, and is regularly updating and improving them. This is very basic, so I can say preserve my scroll position, and I can say an animation between none, dissolve, slide and push. So let's say slide in, okay, so push that way, easy in and out. Okay, no custom control over that, but that's fine. Easy in and out, 300 milliseconds. Okay, so I'm gonna guess again, view mode, is this gonna be my prototype? Yes, okay. Oh, hang on. Let's say, oh, hello. Let's say clicking on that, it's going to take you back there. It's not stored my settings, so that's okay. Obviously, Figma will, if you're setting up multiple prototyping interactions, it tends to copy the last settings you had onto the next one, which is actually more often than not a time saver. So it's a shame this doesn't have that, but again, I hope that's something that will come in down the line. Okay, so let's try that again. So I've forgotten my password. I'm going to slide to a new password, slide back. Yeah, okay. Nothing fancy, but that's fine, As I say, my expectations with Penpot are very much that as long as it shows good promise, then it's definitely something that I will try and keep my eye on moving forwards. Try and keep my hand in there and keep up to date with latest changes. Yeah, I hope that's helped. I'm going to leave it there because I've not really got the time to go through and make this look all nice and pretty. I haven't, as I say, I didn't really come into this with a particular plan or do any prep work whatsoever. So I don't want to sort of waste time, make a very boring video of me searching around for nice photos to use and assets and whatever else. So I'll leave it there. But yeah, first impressions are that, as I had hoped and kind of expected from what I'd heard about it. Really solid piece of software, lots of promise, lots of potential. So yeah, definitely want to keep an eye on. And yeah, I think if you're someone who is maybe just starting out in UI design, product design, that kind of area, definitely worth getting involved with. Obviously, you can get Figma for free, so I would always recommend that personally, as someone's first choice. Get the free Figma account, start playing around with that. But if you want something that's maybe a bit more simple, a bit less daunting potentially, then this feels like a really good starting point for someone who's just starting out. So yeah, hopefully that might be helpful. And as I say, my plan is to keep an eye on how Penpot progresses, keep an eye on, as updates get released, check in from time to time. So I will probably try and do some more of these videos exploring new features and stuff in the future. But yeah, for now that's everything. Hope that was helpful for someone out there. And yeah, if you did enjoy this and you like this sort of content, then yeah, by all means, please like and subscribe and turn on the notifications and all that sort of jazz. But yeah, thanks very much, and I'm going to leave it there. Cheers.